If no one in government was really involved with Epstein, then smearing him and getting everything out as much as physically possible would be their best course of action. It would be in their best interest. Because that way they could distance themselves from him. They could say, oh look, we outed Epstein. We're not affiliated with Epstein. See, we're releasing all the information. That's how confident we are that we had nothing to do with him. Major breaking. Epstein Survivors just announced they will release their own list of names. We know who abused us. We saw who came and went. The list will be survivor-led for survivors. The government stalled. Now the victims are doing it themselves. Oh, let's check it out.
The law. Transparency is justice. Release the files. End the secrecy. And stand with us in declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law.
After that Supreme Court decision, I guess the president is now.
And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details on that. Because history is watching, and so are the women who will come after us. Thank you. Transparency.
I mean, that's nice and all, but there's a difference between the government releasing a list and the victims releasing a list. Like, as horrible as it is to say, no one really gives a shit about the victims. Because if you're brainwashed enough by your favorite billionaire, your favorite politician or whatever, you're going to come up with any excuse to defend them, even if the survivors literally directly call them out. You're going to say, oh, they're lying, oh, it's a conspiracy, oh, they're just after them because they don't like them, they don't like their politics, blah, blah, blah. But if the DOJ themselves release the files, then it's a lot more conclusive. It's harder to call it a conspiracy. But this could still be nice. I guess it could be cathartic, if nothing else, for the victims to get their list out, to say what they need to say. So good for them. Anybody who was implicated in the sexual abuse in the Epstein case deserves to be brought to justice, no matter who. Bill Clinton or Trump, Democrat or Republican. Yeah, at this point, it's not a partisan issue at all. It's just about the government being honest with us, just for once. Oh, and here's Trump's response to it. Take a shot every time he mentions a Democrat in this video. Bill Clinton, Joe Biden, Obama, Hillary Clinton. Let's see any of those people. Please, dude.
This is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president. Sure.
Can we not talk about this right now? This news story isn't glazing me. Can we stop talking about it? It's literally this. Can we not talk about this right now? Can we not talk about Epstein right now? You know the best way to get people to stop talking about it?
With Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jeffrey and Ghislaine were always very boastful about their friends, their famous or powerful friends, and his biggest brag forever was that he was very good friends with Donald Trump. He had an 8x10 framed picture of him on his desk with the two of them. Like, they were very close.
Go ahead.
On his personal attorney
With Ghislaine Maxwell.
Just to be clear, Jeffrey Epstein being best friends with Trump doesn't exactly prove that he was involved in any sex trafficking. But again, this is another case of Trump making himself seem more guilty than he actually is. Because why does he constantly need to pretend that he wasn't ever good friends with Jeffrey Epstein at all? Always. He's acting like he barely knew the guy. Literally. If he just said, yeah, I was friends with him, but I didn't know about the island, he would seem so much more innocent. So much more.
Go! Trump must 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 go!
This Epstein file stuff really has been doing a number on his reputation. It's just so baffling to me. He made it a way bigger deal than it was. Literally, if he just ignored it, people would have forgotten in a week. But he had to go and say, oh, it's a hoax, it's fake, it doesn't exist, it was never real, Obama invented it. Like, what?
My name is Courtney Wild. I was only 14 years old when I was introduced to Jeffrey Epstein by a 13-year-old friend of mine. The details of the abuse that he inflicted on me for years is not important today. In 2028, I was cooperating with the federal government in the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein. They sent me a letter telling me to be patient because this was going to be a lengthy investigation, but at the same time, they refused to talk to me and tell me what was going on. So I hired an attorney, Brad Edwards, because I was hopeful to get some answers. When I walked into his office at 19 years old, Brad sued the government for refusing to tell me what was going on under the Crime Victims' Rights Act. The only reason anyone ever found out that the government had already given Jeffrey Epstein immunity through the non-prosecution agreement was because our lawsuit forced the government to tell us. Otherwise, nobody would even know that today. Sometimes it's hard to believe that I had to sue the United States just to learn that my abuser was given immunity.
Yup, his sweetheart plea deal all the way back in 2007. That is insane. That is absolutely insane.
I started as Jane Doe, but I decided I was proud enough to take on our country, and I was on the right side of history. We fought the government for 10 years to prove that the government violated our rights as crime victims and the crime victims' rights in order to protect a pedophile. We had to win the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals to force the government to turn over thousands of pages of emails between Jeffrey Epstein and the government. Those emails provided the proof that the government worked very hard with Jeffrey Epstein to violate our rights. Why? Why did the government work so hard to protect Jeffrey and not so hard to protect me and my other innocent friend?
Because people really high up in the government probably wanted it that way.
Why was Jeffrey so important to the government, and why was I so insignificant? Why did nobody but our lawyers care before now? It seems people have only started to care because of Twitter and politics.
Because if no one in government was really involved with Epstein, then smearing him and getting everything out as much as physically possible would be their best course of action. It would be in their best interest. Because that way they could distance themselves from him. They could say, oh, look, we outed Epstein. We're not affiliated with Epstein. See, we're releasing all the information. That's how confident we are that we had nothing to do with him.
Would like to say this has nothing to do with politics. This is not a blue thing or a red thing. This is an everyone thing. We can all agree on this. The injustice that has happened here, multiple, over and over. Everybody that talks about this just seems to make it worse. We need transparency. It's time for us to see beyond the curtain. Why was Jeffrey Epstein so protected? Who is still being protected? And who protected them all so the world can understand how Jeffrey was able to abuse so many of us for so long?
Okay. True. Obama forged his birth certificate just like he forged the Epstein files. Fake news.